Holiday season is upon us, and what a better time to remember those around us who may need some extra help. Today, we'll meet with local nonprofits to talk about what opportunities they have and how you can get involved. That's coming up next on WNIN Newsmakers. Our first guest is Tori Flaherty, Assistant Director of Advancement for the Evansville Rescue Mission. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
So tell me, just in case people don't know, what is the Evansville Rescue Mission?
So the Evansville Rescue Mission, I'm just gonna give you the short version because we are truly a multifaceted ministry in Evansville. We are the biggest and the largest and longest standing homeless shelter in Evansville. We also own and operate the Youth Care Center, which is Vanderburgh County's Youth Detention Center. We have a thrift store and a coffee shop, among many other things that we do. We also have something in the works for the future, which I think we'll talk about in a little bit, but yeah, that's what we are.
Well, what kind of different services? I mean, I know that you told about what you have. What services do you offer with those?
So we are primarily a men's homeless shelter. That's what we're most known for. And what we believe that homelessness, while as a population is growing, we try to focus on the individual. And we do that by just having lots of programming and really a safe spot for this individual to come to us to get the life change that they need and then to never have to come back. So that's really what we're most known for.
Oh, so you're actually trying to help them get on track where they can find something more permanent.
Yes,
not need
absolutely.
The shelter.
Yep.
And how successful is that? I mean, is it?
This is one of my favorite things to talk about. Okay. Yes, we are pretty successful. We have a proven track record of helping folks get the grit that they need to move on. So what we do is if somebody comes into our doors, they are able to not just find a place to stay, but programming, shelter, basic needs, as well as a support group to help them go on. In our programming, there's a few things that we want them to have when they leave us, and that is stable income. Sometimes that's a job, it looks like government funding, whatever the case is, disability, safe and affordable housing, and then a support system. So sometimes that looks like a church group, sometimes that looks like reunification with their family. So we want those three things to happen before they leave us. And we're very blessed to be able to do that in a way that we can really work with the individual on a case-by-case basis.
So what about, and during this time of year, during the holidays, what are your most pressing needs?
So our most pressing needs, and I asked our executive director before he came, what do you need in the shelter? She said, we need pants, underwear, and deodorant.
Really?
Very quickly. So we always need lots of things. Some of the things that, are tangible: deodorant, underwear, socks, pants, things like that, hygiene items, those things. Also, obviously, we take monetary donations, and we are very careful with the money that we are given. About 73% of our funding comes from individuals. So we really want to make sure that we're spending the money that you give us in a good way.
So I've heard that before, that socks are usually one of the biggest things you need, but you're talking about. So if somebody did, let's say they got together some pants, underwear, deodorant, where do they take it? How do you drop it off there?
So we are at 500 East Walnut, and you can drop it off there. We also have a thrift store and a coffee shop in Washington Square Mall. So you can absolutely take those items there and just let them know that it's not for the thrift store, it's for the it's for the shelter.
Okay.
But you can also, when you are doing that, I know in our family, before Santa comes, we have to clean out stuff. So we take all of our stuff to the thrift store. So, if you have pants and underwear and socks, and then all the leftover stuff you don't know what to do with, we'll take that too at the thrift store.
I would say, what other kinds of things do you take at the thrift store? I mean, you take furniture,
literally everything.
Toys,
So, toys, furniture, kids' clothes, women's clothes, men's clothes, Right now, there's a lot of jewelry, there's a lot of Christmas items. So we really take everything. If you kind of think of just a regular thrift store, we're very similar to that. So we have all kinds of stuff. We don't consign or anything like that, so it's all donation based. But it's pretty nice. And we really try to offer things at an affordable price as well.
So what about if people want to volunteer? How much demand do you have for volunteers? I mean, is it different this time of year well, go ahead. You can tell me, and then I'll ask more questions.
Okay. Well, I feel like we have more volunteers at this time of the year. That's a very human thing. It's Christmas, and it's the holidays, and, I think it's more prevalent that people are in need. But we serve breakfast, lunch, and dinner to our residents and the community at the Rescue Mission every single day. So we don't stop doing that. So we need volunteers to serve that. To do that, all you have to do is go to our website. We use what's called Volunteer Hub, and you just go on our website, click the volunteer link, and it will bring up a calendar. And in that calendar, you can click on what you want to do, when you want to come, how many folks are coming with you, all the good stuff.
So that's all year round, because I know to your point, you probably, I'm guessing you get enough volunteers around the holidays because people are feeling very altruistic or whatever. But really, it's something you need all the time.
All the time, yep. And we also have other volunteer opportunities. So we do have volunteers in our thrift store. And we have volunteers, of course, in the office and doing different things in the summertime, landscaping and all that stuff. So we have lots of volunteer opportunities. We also have opportunities within our shelter to teach classes with our residents. We also really like to do fun things. We have some groups come in that do a game night with our residents, and they're able to just kind of let their hair down a little bit, play some games, eat some snacks. If you do one of those things, snacks go over really well. So everybody loves snacks. But yeah, there's lots and lots of volunteer opportunities at the Rescue Mission.
So you kind of alluded to some future plans,
Yes.
some exciting news. What is that?
Yes. I have been at the Rescue Mission for 14 years, and this has been a dream the entire time I've been there and before. We are opening a Women and Children's Center here in Evansville. We have the building. It's at 1400 Professional Boulevard. So if you go down Washington towards Green River, you'll turn right, kind of by the doctor's offices down there. And that's what it was. It's an old cardiologist office. But we hope to offer a safe place for women, children, and single women. So what it's gonna look like is the same programming that we offer for our men. We want them to come in and experience that life change and really break that generational poverty that a lot of them suffer from.
Right.
We want them to know that they can do it. That they can.
How many women and children will you be able to house there?
That I don't know.
Okay.
We're hoping to about 120-ish.
Oh, that's a good amount.
Yeah, it's going to be really big. We're really excited. So it's going to be pretty big. We don't have the specifics just yet. We're going to start construction soon.
And when do you think that'll be open?
So we are planning to open the beginning of 2025.
Okay.
Officially, so.
Well, it is exciting. So thanks for giving us some options for the holidays, because I know people try to find different things to do. So thank you so much.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.
Now joining us are Amy and John Rich, co-executive directors for Patchwork Central. Thank you both for joining us.
Thanks for having us.
So tell me a little bit about Patchwork Central. What is it?
So it's a neighborhood-based nonprofit. We really focus on the neighborhood around us near downtown Evansville. And we have a wide variety of programming.
And like what kind of?
We're probably best known for our children's programs. So it's free to the families after school and in the summers. Kids come and can do projects. We focus a lot on visual arts and other kinds of arts, but we also do homework help and substance abuse prevention lessons and all different kinds of activities with the kids. But we also have a bunch of programming in the mornings during the weekdays. So we have a food pantry that we're part of the Food Pantry Consortium. We have what we call neighborhood hospitality, so we're just open to the public. Anybody can come in, get out of the elements, get a cup of coffee, have a place to feel human. And we have shower facilities as part of that, one men's shower, one women's shower. We hand out hygiene items, soap, shampoo, things like that for people who need to shower there. We also have a bike shop. People can get their bikes fixed up, or we also take donated bikes. Our volunteers refurbish them, and we give them out to people who need them for transportation. But a lot of folks have used bicycles as their primary mode of transportation. And then we also have a community garden on the property that we both use with the children's program to teach them about gardening, but we also can use some of the produce in the food pantry, and people can just go in and pick it out of the garden if they like. And then I do a program I call a health ministry. So we're not a clinic. We don't have doctors or prescription medicines, but I'm a registered nurse, so I do nursing level care for folks just off the street, and I do a lot of education and advocacy, helping people understand their conditions, their medications, their diagnosis, helping connect them to the healthcare resources they need in the community.
So how was this started? I know you had said you told me before we started that it first opened in 1977. So
yes.
how was that?
So yeah, it's been around since 1977. It was three couples who came and had this vision of, I guess 4 of the 6 people in the couples were ordained Methodist ministers. And so they had this vision of being ministers to a neighborhood and not just a single congregation. And so that was where Patchwork came from. So they moved to the neighborhood near downtown Evansville, bought houses, moved in, talked to their neighbors, looked around, and Patchwork's programming grew out of that. And it kind of continues to be that, where people look and see what they can do for their neighbors, what their neighbors say that they need, and how those things intersect.
So where is it located?
So currently we're located at 100 Washington Avenue, which is at the corner of Washington and 6th Street. There's a big stone tower out front. That's your landmark. So that is actually was the site of the Washington Avenue Synagogue, which Patchwork Central bought and worked out of for a few years. The synagogue building unfortunately burned down in 1983, and then Patchwork rebuilt the current structure there, but the tower is original to the synagogue. So it's a historic landmark.
So how do you determine who can use the services there?
So it's whoever
walks in, pretty much.
Yeah. So we do a lot with just people coming in.
Yeah, there are some stipulations for the food pantry. People can only use any one of the consortium pantries once every 30 days. There are some other slight guidelines, but mostly it's just whoever walks in and asks us for help.
Yeah, because I didn't know, when you say it's the neighborhood, I know,
Yeah.
it's just for people in that neighborhood.
Right.
Not
but
necessarily.
I didn't think
And
so.
and it really is for anybody. So like in the mornings when we're open to the public, and we have coffee and snacks and showers, and people can use the phones. And a lot of the people who come in are low income, but it also includes a bunch of people who are just looking for other people to talk to.
That
Neighbors.
social aspect.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
we've got a group of people who this is a place they come and just have coffee and talk to their friends, and I really like that about Patchwork, that we really are there for everybody.
Well, and I like when you talk about the gardening part.
Yeah.
How do you find that that's so helpful for kids even to do something like that?
I mean, it's really cool to see the kids get involved and kind of see how plants grow. One of our big things every year is we plant sweet potatoes, and so you plant them. We plant them kind of at the end of the school year or at the very beginning of our summer programs, and they grow all summer. Get bigger and bigger, grow outside of their raised bed. And then in the fall, the kids can go out and dig them up. And they're all, under the ground, and you never know what you're going to get. So we'll be out there and an after-school program, and the kids are all just digging around, and it's like gold in the ground.
Oh, I bet. I mean, I can imagine. What's it going to look like?
Right.
Yeah. And then do they get to cook them, or what do you do with them?
Yeah. So then we try to make sure to make at least a few things with them. And so actually just last week they did a Thanksgiving sweet potato bake with it.
Oh, fun.
Which was especially fun because so we planted a whole variety of sweet potatoes. So they come. There's the usual orange ones, but there's also white ones and there's purple ones.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
Okay, I learned something
Right.
today.
So
everybody knows.
So the person cooking this sweet potato bake for Thanksgiving, she just got some of the biggest sweet potatoes, and so she started peeling them and was like, "Wait a second, this is purple." So we had like this sweet purple, bright purple sweet potato casserole. It was really
Fun.
Yeah, it was really fun.
So tell me about what kind of needs do you have around the holidays at Patchwork Central?
So we don't have a full clothing bank, but we do hand out items to help keep people warm. So we can use hats, gloves, scarves, and hand warmers, the little warming packs that you can put inside the mittens and the gloves. We can use all of those things. We can use hygiene items that we hand out for people using our showers. So soap, shampoo, deodorant, toothbrush, toothpaste, shaving supplies, all of that stuff. So hygiene supplies, things to keep warm in winter, those are the main things, especially in the morning program, that we can use.
And also, we serve a lot of coffee.
Okay.
So coffee supplies, creamer, sugar, things like that.
And you're talking like regular coffee?
Regular coffee,
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
And coffee itself.
And they can just drop stuff off at Patchwork Central?
Right, and the best time to drop it off is between 9 and noon, Monday through Thursday. That's when we're open for hospitality. If people want to drop it off outside of those hours, just call our main number and we can arrange another pickup time or another drop-off time. And our main number is 812-424-2735.
Okay, this is great. Thanks so much for sharing all this, and maybe people can drop off gardening supplies.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Our final guest for today is Sally Payne, Assistant Director of Development for Holly's House. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Now, tell us a little bit about Holly's House and what the organization does.
Sure. So Holly's House is a nonprofit, non-residential victims advocacy center. We work with children and adults who've been victims of intimate crime, and we're a safe place where they can come and report what's happened to them to our forensic interviewers. We also teach prevention education in elementary schools. So we go into pre-K through 6th grade and teach kids body safety basics, how to find a trusted adult, things that they need to do to be safe.
So kind of the good touch, bad touch kind of
Yeah,
thing?
so it moves beyond that and more if someone says or does something that makes you feel unsafe. We get a lot into internet safety, and it's different than the stranger danger that we were probably taught,
Right.
because 90 to 95% of perpetrators are someone that the child knows and trusts. It could be a family member, a close family friend, a sibling, someone that they know from school. So we really need to teach kids that anything that makes them feel unsafe is something that they need to tell a trusted adult. And those adults can be anyone in their lives, from a parent to a teacher to a counselor to a coach, just someone that you trust telling something to.
So how is your organization different from other organizations in our area?
Okay, so we're a children's advocacy center, and we're the only advocacy center in our area. So our region, we serve 8 counties for forensic interviewing. There are 26 child advocacy centers in the state, so we're the one that's designated for this part of Indiana.
So would someone want to go to your group or organization before they went to the police? Or how does that work?
So if someone suspects that someone is being abused, a child is being abused, they need to listen, support, and report. That's kind of what the motto that we teach is. If a child comes to you and says, this person did something that made me feel unsafe or touched me in a way I wasn't comfortable with, then it's your responsibility to listen to them, thank them for telling you, because it took a lot of courage, and then support them and say that you're going to get them help. And then by reporting, you call the child abuse hotline, which is manned by the Department of Child Services. So there's a toll-free number. It's actually 1-800-800-5556. You call and let them know what has happened. If the child is hurt or in an unsafe situation, 911 is the best option. But when you call that child abuse hotline, they'll ask you a few questions, and then they'll follow up. So DCS will open a case. Not every case goes to the police and not every case comes to Holly's house, but our intake process is either through the police department, law enforcement, or Department of Child
It
Services.
gives them a more comfortable place to talk about what happened.
Yes, so when they come into Holly's house, we're a warm, welcoming, safe, neutral place. So our forensic interviewers are not employed by the police department or the prosecutor or any outside entity. They're employed by Holly's House, which again is a nonprofit. They conduct the interview with the child with non-leading questions. Police and Department of Child Services can watch the interview from another room, and it's recorded so they can refer back later. Teams of mental health professionals, prosecutors, law enforcement, and DCS are able to obtain the interview so they can work on the case and protect the child. That way a child only has to tell their story once. They only have to
Right.
tell what happened to them once, and it's to one person instead of being interviewed by this person
Numerous
here,
times,
going
right,
to
by
the
a
police
bunch of
station
strangers.
for this. It's one person that they've gotten to know at Holly's house. We also offer wraparound services for the family, so we have advocates who will help them find that medical care or mental health care that they need, can help them with short-term solutions for housing or food or beds. Oftentimes, a child is removed from their home and they are staying with somebody who may not have been prepared to have a child in their house, and they may need some things immediately to take care of them. So we're able to help them find those community resources.
So when you mentioned earlier that this area of Indiana, I think is
Yes.
what you said. So how far does your impact reach geographically?
So we have 8 counties, Gibson, Pike, Posey, Knox, Spencer, Warwick, and Vandenberg counties are what we serve for our forensic interviewing. And then for our prevention education, it's the same area. We've not yet reached into Knox County, but we're going to in this next school semester.
So you're talking about, going into the schools. Do you also have educational opportunities for the public that they can participate in?
Yes, so we have people who will go out and talk to community groups or church groups, parent groups. We've got a Lunch and Learn series that we can take into workplaces. It helps parents and adults know what they can do to keep their kids safe, but we can also talk to them about keeping themselves safe. Or if an HR department has a concern about an employee, we can come in and talk to everybody for signs that they need to be watching for so they can protect each other. We also go into kids groups like scouting groups, homeschool co-ops have often had us in to talk to them. Kids who may not be receiving the program at school, but their parents feel it's important for them to have.
Oh, it's very important
Yes.
work that you're doing.
Yes, thank you.
What would you advise someone to do if they do suspect abuse or intimate crimes with someone they know?
Yeah, so we talked about that a little bit before. I jumped
Right.
ahead.
No, that's all right.
But just making sure that the child feels safe and that they know that someone is going to help them. That's sometimes the most important thing, because you may be the first person the child has told that this has happened, and if you don't believe them, you may be the last person that they tell.
Right. And I think a lot of times adults feel uncomfortable when they get this information, almost like, oh, I don't want to know, but they have to get past that.
Right. And the good thing is you don't have to ask questions. You don't have to know all the details because it's not your job to investigate. So you just say, thank you for telling me. I believe you, and we're going to get you some help. And again, you can call that toll-free number. It's better to do it when the child is not present. That way, if they ask questions, the child doesn't hear you talking about them or sharing intimate details that they may have told you. But again, it's not your job to investigate or to tell other people what's happened. If the child is not yours and they tell you something, telling their parents may not be the best idea because you don't know who's hurting them.
Exactly. So what kind of opportunities, or what are your biggest needs at this time of year? How could people help you out?
Sure. So this time of year, and actually any time of year, when we welcome people into Holly's house, it's almost like we're welcoming in them into our homes. So we offer them a drink and a snack, especially if a child has come from school. They may have missed lunch, they may be coming after school, and we all know how ravenous kids are after school. So we like to have individually packaged snacks for them, bottled water, juice boxes, just to make sure that they feel comfortable and at home. And they're often there for several hours. So lap blankets or throw blankets, because the temperature in buildings is pretty inconsistent. So it's a physical comfort for them, but it could be an emotional comfort as well. And the other thing are gift cards in small increments, $10 to $15 usually for Target or Walmart, because again, these kids may have been placed with someone who got paid last Friday and now it's Thursday and they don't get paid again until next week, and they need shampoo and toothpaste and things for this child. So gift cards, that way the family can purchase what they want on their own, and they're not stuck with what we give them.
And then can they just drop these off at your location?
Yeah, so they can drop them off at Holly's house, or they can give us a call at 812-437-7233, and we can arrange for them to drop them off.
All right, well, thank you so much. This is
Thank
some
you.
really good information.
Thank
I learned
you.
a lot from it.
Good.
So, thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks to all of our guests for joining us to talk about how we can get involved this holiday season. Join us next week as we talk about how to stay healthy for the holidays. Thanks for watching WNIN Newsmakers.